At Jia Xu's suggestion, Cao Cao pretends to agree to the Guanzhong coalition's request for a truce, and the two sides agree to meet in front of the battlefield. In a change from his previous weak approach, Cao Cao chose 5,000 cavalrymen in shining armor to line up in a formation that dazzled in the sunlight, and made the Guanzhong generals cringe in fear. Although Cao Cao's name has been known for a long time, none of the soldiers and generals in the Liangzhou region have ever seen him before, so they have crowded into the front row to watch. Cao Cao smiled and said, "There's nothing to watch. I'm also an ordinary man. I don't have 4 eyes and 2 mouths, I just have some extra wisdom." At the time, Cao Cao had only Xu Chu with him, and Ma Chao, being proud of his outstanding strength, wanted to sneak up on Cao Cao in secret. But he had heard of Xu Chu's reputation before, so he asked Cao Cao, "Where is your Marquis of Tiger, Lord Cao Cao?" Cao Cao pointed to his side, and Ma Chao saw that Xu Chu was glaring at him, with a scowl and a look of bitter hatred, thus not daring to make a move. Cao Cao then spoke alone with Han Sui, a Han Chinese from Jincheng. Before the Yellow Turban Rebellion, Han Sui had spent some time in Luoyang on official business, when Cao Cao was also an official in Luoyang, so the two men had known each other for a long time, and although Han Sui was older than Cao Cao, his father became an official in the same year with Cao Cao, so the two men were very cordial. When they met, Cao Cao deliberately did not talk to him about the current military affairs, but only talk about the past. Chatting up, the two also clapped and laughed, so they talked for a long time, before they rode back to the battalion. When it was over, Ma Chao and the others asked Han Sui, "What did you talk with Cao Cao about?" Han Sui replied, "Nothing." Ma Chao and the others were very unhappy with Han Sui's attitude. "Oh, in front of 100 of thousands of soldiers, you've been talking for half a day, and you're just gossiping. Who would believe that yourself?" The crowd began to suspect that Han Sui and Cao Cao might have made some private agreement. After Cao Cao returned, he wrote another letter specifically to Han Sui, in which Cao Cao purposely changed the content around as if Han Sui had scribbled it himself, and when Ma Chao and the others saw the letter, their suspicions grew. Cao Cao then took the opportunity to issue a letter of war and set a date for a showdown with the Allied forces. The forces in Guanzhong were also eager to end the standoff due to a lack of provisions, thus agreed to fight. Cao Cao had the advantage in every aspect of the battle, including the reason for starting the battle, food reserves, and strategizing, except for the fact that he had fewer troops than the enemy. The total number of Guanzhong's allied forces was around 100,000, while Cao's army had only 60,000 to 70,000 men. But the pre-war strategy of dividing the allied forces had already greatly undermined their inner cohesiveness. With Ma Chao and others being wary of Han Sui, and refusing to cooperate with him, leading to a great dispersion of the allied forces, and a significant drop in their fighting strength. On that day, Cao Cao deliberately used lightly armed cavalry to hold the enemy at bay from the front and ambushed the elite tiger and leopard cavalry on the sides. The two armies fought for a long time, killing each other, and when the enemy army was tired, the tiger leopard cavalry suddenly appeared and attacked from the left and right flanks, and the allied army collapsed. Cheng Yi and Li Qin could not dodge, and were killed by the tiger leopard cavalry on the spot. The rest of the enemy were terrified, and then scattered, and fled. Ma Chao fled to Shanggui, Yang Qiu fled to Ungding, Liang Xing fled to Lungtian, Han Sui ran wildly toward Jincheng, Cheng Yin and Ho Xuan chose to go south, and ran directly to Hanzhong, joined Zhang Lu, while Zhang Heng and Ma Wan were even more directly disappeared. The Guanzhong coalition's more than 100,000 soldiers were mostly annihilated by Cao Cao's army. Cao Cao had achieved a great victory with fewer soldiers. In October of the same year, Cao Cao led his army into Chang'an, and after a short rest, he split his army into two and continued to march. One way with Cao Cao personally leading the main force straight to Ungding, and the other way with Xia Hoyuan eating Xu Huang, Zhu Ling, and other generals, conquering the tribes of D minority in Liangzhou and meeting Cao Cao under the city of Ungding after the victory. Yang Qiu, who had fled in Ungding, knew he was outmatched and chose to surrender. Considering the complexity of the Liangzhou region and Yang Qiu's impact, Cao Cao chose to reinstate Yang Qiu's official title and allow him to remain in Ungding. Yang Qiu thus became the one with best ending of the 10 warlords who fought against Cao Cao to the south of Wei River. Since then, with the exception of a few scattered armed forces, the Guanzhong plain has been largely pacified, and after decades of war, it has finally returned to the imperial court. Cao Cao had hoped to continue his march to the west of Long Mountain and completely pacify the remnants of the Liangzhou region, but news came from the rear that Tian Yin and Su Bo had rebelled in her Jian commandery and incited many forces in Youzhou and Jizhou. Cao Cao was worried that Cao Pi and Cheng Yu, who had stayed behind in Yecheng, would not be able to control the situation, so he decided to return east. Yang Fu, a military advisor, believed that once Cao Cao withdrew his troops, Ma Chao and the others would continue their rebellion, but Cao Cao did not listen. Before his departure, Cao Cao left Xia Hoyuan to command Xu Huang, Zhang He, Zhu Ling, Lu Zhao, and other generals to guard Chang'an, and had Cao Ren return first with his elite cavalry, along with Jia Xin, a general sent by Cao Pi, to rush to Herjian to quell the rebellion. In the first month of AD 212, Cao Cao returned to Yecheng, where the rebellion of Tian Yin and Su Bo, among others, had been completely quelled before then. It's worth mentioning that Ma Chao, the culprit of the Guanzhong rebels, also nearly shot Cao Cao under the Tong Pass, yet Cao Cao didn't immediately go after Ma Tang's family for this reason. Cao Cao understands that Ma Tang lost his control over Ma Chao many years ago, and that the aging Ma Tang and his trembling family have long since lost any connection to Ma Chao. As long as Ma Chao could stay honest in the future, Cao Cao doesn't want to go too far. But the blood relationship is a real one, and no one can break it. Although Cao Cao has chosen to be tolerant for the time being, Ma Tang knows too much about this son with Qiang ancestry, a cold-blooded, heartless man who doesn't think about consequences. As long as Ma Chao didn't die, this bomb was going to explode sooner or later, and he was going to drag his whole family to be buried with him. Ma Tang so regret, maybe not regret into the imperial court to become this official, but regret that year did not wipe this kid on the wall. In the first month of the same year, shortly after Cao Cao returned to Yecheng, news came that Ma Chao had once again risen in rebellion. At this point, I'm afraid Ma Tang must have cursed 10,000 times in his heart.